Hello, what's up guys, and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to continue this part 3 series of MySQL Beginners Edition, and we're going to be covering several functions today, starting from comments, having, group by, exists, and many more functions. So if you find this video to be useful, please make sure you like the video, leave a comment below, let us know what you think about this video, and please make sure you subscribe. Welcome, and without further ado, let's jump right into the video. So we're going to start with comments. So if you're writing any SQL queries, for instance, if you say select all from customers where city is equals to Berlin, we execute that one, so you get one record. So if you want to comment, you don't want to use the rest, this part of the where clause. Okay, let's add something like order by customer ID. So if you want to ignore the where clause, we use for single line comments, we use 2 dashes to indicate that the entire line is a comment. And if it's a multi-line comment, then we use this. So this one indicates it's a multi-line comment. Okay. So when you execute now, you find that only the first part of the query is executed. This means the others are ignored when during execution. So majorly comments are used to explain lines of code or lines of a query in MySQL, mainly, or to stop execution of certain lines within the query, like we have done above here. Okay, so if you wanted to explain a line, like you can remove this one, maybe you can put order by customer ID. So this one explains the line that is coming after that comment. Then you can also explain this one, condition city is equals to Berlin. So you can basically write anything on a comment if it's an explanation of the code. You can write whatever explanation you want. So let's go to the next function, which is group by. So if we do our query again, from customers, so we get all our customers. So for example, if you want to, we can group by city. Okay. Group by basically groups records that are kind of similar into kind of summary. So like if you group by city, you find that cities that are similar they appear, it's kind of ordered alphabetically. Let's say select all from customers where city is not null. Group by country. Let's see that. Okay, that means the customers are now grouped by country. Okay. Let's try something else, like so if, for example, we do a select statement here, it says select. Okay, I can say count customer ID and country from customers. Okay, so if we execute this, get the list. Okay, the result that we get does not make sense, but if we go ahead and group by country. Okay, sorry. If you group by country, now you get a more sensible result set, where each country there is a count of how many customers come from every country. Okay, so that's fine. We can still go ahead and order by the count of customer ID. So we can have this count as a count. Okay, sorry. As number of customers, you can call it number. As number of customers, so that okay. So we can go ahead and order by number of customers. So from our previous video, you remember how we are using the keyword alias to give a customized column name to some columns. So we can go ahead and order by and let's execute. So by default, the order by operator is by ascending order. So if you want descending, I can use that. It starts from the biggest downwards, and number of customers per every country, as you can see. If you want to order by ascending order, it starts from the smallest to the highest per country. So that's how we use the group by operator. I mean the group by function. Alright, let's move now to the next function, which is having. So having clause is mainly used with aggregate functions. So in our case, select count customer ID or group by country. So if we come here and say, can use the word having, then you can say this count greater, for example, greater than 10. Okay, so you go ahead and execute that. So you see we only get records where the count is greater than 10. So you can also say is equals to 10, get no records. It's less than 10, get some records. Okay. So again, even after using halving, we can go ahead and order by the same, so that now it's ordered in either ascending or descending order, depending on how you want it done. So this one is in descending order, starting from the largest. Then you can still use the ascending order, starting from the smallest. Right. So we could also use this one in another table. Let's say, for example, select all from orders. Okay. We can say where we can say group by ship country. So group by ship country. Okay. So then you can say select count of order ID, and then ship country. Okay. So that we get how many orders have gone to every country. Okay. Then now you can go ahead and use the keyword having. Okay, this order count, can call it order count. Sorry. Can give it an alias. Okay, having order count greater than 100. Okay, so we can break this one a bit. Okay, so this query should return only orders that are number of orders for that country is greater than 100. So let's execute. So you need to get Germany and US. You see. So if we do 50, probably get more records. Okay, we say less than 10 orders. Okay, we get 2 countries, Poland and Norway. So that's how we use the group by keyword together with having in MySQL. So next you look at the exist function. Okay, so we can do now another query. The exist function returns true if the conditions in a subquery are true, or the subquery returns a result set. Okay, so let's try this. Select from suppliers. Select from suppliers. Okay, you can select a particular column like supplier name. So select supplier name from suppliers. Okay, then you can now use the where clause where exists. Then now you can draw our subquery within here. Okay, so if this subquery returns values, then the whole query will return the list of supplier names. Okay, but if it returns false, that means there are no records within the subquery. Then no supplier names will be returned. Right. So you can say select so our subquery, which will try and select product names from products, whereby, so if you look at the products table, the products table has a foreign key that links to the suppliers table. Okay, so the products table has a supply ID. That means this supply ID is a foreign key here, and it links to the suppliers table. Okay, so we'll try and join the two tables. Select product name from products where okay, products here, products dot supply ID is equals to suppliers dot supply ID. Okay, so this is the condition. Select product name from products where products supply ID is equals to suppliers dot supply ID, and we can say products have pricing. So the price, and price is greater than 100. Okay, so exists, then this is our subquery down here. So if this one returns true, by true it means there are records that meet this criteria, then the first query now will be executed. Okay, so let's go ahead and execute this one. Supplier name, we have an error here. Okay, let's check the column. The column suppliers. Okay, you can return company name. You can return company. Company name, then we give it an alias as supplier name. If the alias has a space between, then use the single quotation marks to enclose them, the two words. Okay, so if you execute this one, company name, price. Okay, let's see products. It seems my column is wrong. Okay, unit price. Okay, your unit price is that. Let's execute. Okay, we get two records. That means our subquery returned true. Okay, so if we use something like is equals to 100, execute. So our subquery returned 0. That means the subquery returned false. Okay, right. So that's how we use the exist function. So if there exists a result here in the subquery, then the first statement is executed. Okay, based on the subquery, right? So meaning that the first query is executed based on the records that meet the subquery statement, the subquery condition. So if for example we had grade less than 100, we execute that. Only records that meet these criteria, suppliers, okay, only suppliers who have products that whose price is less than 100. Okay, so it's not that the first query will select everything from suppliers. It will only select the suppliers who have products, okay, who have products whose unit price is less than 100. So this condition is what determines the records that will be selected in the first statement, right? So that's how we use the keyword exist. Okay, now let us look at the any and all keywords. So if we start again, select from products, product name, so you can pick the column. So select product name from products. So you can use the any keyword. Any keyword returns true if any of the conditions in the subquery is true. Okay, so it will return the first part. It's almost like exist, but this one, if any of the values, any of the conditions in the subquery are met, then it will return true. That means the product names will be listed. Okay, so we can say where product ID say where product ID any and you can put select here your product ID is any, then maybe we can use the order. Say order doesn't have product ID. Okay, let's use suppliers. Supplier ID. Okay, that is supplier ID. Doesn't have product ID. Okay, you can see the suppliers. So let's say suppliers. Select all from select. Can say select supplier ID. Select supplier ID. Where country is equals to Kenya. Okay, you can say select from suppliers where country is equals to Kenya. we need an equals where product ID is equals to any. So let's execute and see. So this one returns 0 because within our suppliers, we take this query within the suppliers. If we execute it here, you'll find that select supplier country. So if we execute it at the suppliers table, we find that there is 0 results. Okay, so and that is why therefore this subquery returns a false. Okay, like there is no any condition that is met, and therefore no product names are selected. So if we go ahead and put maybe USA as a record, so let's use it here. Okay, so it returns product names because this subquery has returned a true value, and therefore the first one is selected. And again, the results here are returned based on this query. So, for example, these are products whose suppliers come from the USA, right? So that's how we use the any keyword. So the other keyword is all. So if we replace this with all, it means all records must have this, otherwise it will return false. So you go ahead and execute this one. Okay, no record is returned. Why? Because the other records apart from USA in the database. So for instance, if we come here and select everything from suppliers, okay, you find that there are different countries. So the table cannot have only USA in the country column, in the country field. So and that is why this one will always return a false when you use the all function. But if you use any, it means as long as there is any record with from suppliers coming from USA to return values. Okay, so that's the difference between any and all function. Okay, let's look at another function within MySQL, which is insert select. So what insert select is copy data from one table to another, but the requirement is that the data types in the source table have to be same as the data types in the destination table. For instance, if you are copying a string from the products to the suppliers, it has to be a string in both. If it's an integer, then it has to be an integer in both. So you cannot copy, for example, a product name into the unit price field in another table, okay? Because you're copying a string to an integer, okay? That will return an error. So let's try this. Let's open a new query window. So we can say, for example, we can select supplier name, maybe supplier name, city and country. Let's say suppliers. You can get the supplier name, okay, the contact name. You have city, you have country, then you go to customers. We have customer name, okay, still have city and country, okay. Right, so we can use this one. We can say can say insert into. So the first one will be insert into which table? Table customers. Okay. Insert into table customers. Which columns are we inserting from customers? We can say contact name. We can say contact name, city and country. Okay, so what are we inserting into that? So we can get some data from the suppliers. Suppliers, we have contact type. No, we also have contact name, city and country. So select supplier name, okay, contact name, select contact name, city, country, from suppliers. So this one should select these values, okay, and insert into customers table, right? So we execute error, customer ID doesn't have a default value. Okay, then maybe we need to include customer ID. Then here we need supply ID. We need the supply ID in both. Let's execute. Okay. Okay, the column count. Excuse me. Select supply ID, contact name. Let's try this. Field company name doesn't have a default value. Company name. Okay, let's use company name. So it has copied the suppliers to the customers table. 29 rows are affected. Okay, so that's how we copy data from one table to another using the insert into tables. So for instance, if we go ahead and refresh these on customers, you find there are so many records that only have a city, country, and company name, right? And of course, the customer ID are the supplier ID. So no contact name, no contact title, no address. So these are the newly inserted records that we have inserted from the suppliers to the customers table. So that's how we use the insert into and select. Whatever you selected, insert into the other table. So again, as we said, the source and destination data types have to be the same. For example, if customer ID is an integer, supply ID has to be an integer. Company name is a string, it has to be a string. Is a string, country, a string. So that is it. That's how we use that kind of functions. So next we look at the case function. The case function is used to evaluate conditions and returns a result if the function is true. the result is true, that is. And basically works almost like an if-else statement. So if this condition is met, then this is the result. Okay, so the syntax is usually case when condition, then case when condition, then. So let's do a practical example. Okay, we can say from let's say from suppliers, let's say order details. Okay, let's use this column ship via. Okay, from order, so we'll do select okay, we can do a join here to get the customer name, the contact name. So let's do select so let's assume these functions ship via. So maybe one, let's say one represents ship by road, two represent ship by water, three represent ship through air. Okay, so we want to return a result set that indicates that. Okay, so we can say select can say order ID, select order ID, can do an inner join here on the ID, can say contact name. Excuse me. Excuse me. Can say select order ID, contact name from orders, inner join customers. So you can call that CS, and this one you call it OD. So this one you can say CS dot contact name. So this one will be the customer name. Okay, customer who has made the order, and of course we have the order ID there. Okay, we have to finish the join on CS dot customer ID. Okay, now OD is equals to CS dot customer. So that's how we do an inner join. So select that from orders, inner join. Okay, so we can say okay, let's not put a where clause for now. So we can add a third column here, which is ship via. Okay, right, and how we add the column now, we'll use a case. Okay, so that we say case. Okay, so we said we use when ship via the column, when ship via is equals to 1. Okay, when ship via is equals to 1, then what? then we put a string here, then we say ship by road. Okay, and you go ahead and add other when statements, when same, and ship via is equals to 2, then a string ship by train, and you put another when ship via is equals to 3, then ship via air. Okay. Okay. So once you are done with enumerating your when statements, then you can close it by saying and as. Then you give it as an alias. Okay. So you can call it. You can put a string shipped package I can say shipping mode. Okay, then after that we can, so that is how we write the where statement. So we go ahead and execute this one. You should have 3 columns, and let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so as you can see, you have the order ID, contact name, and then instead of the previous numbers that we had, we have converted them now to meaningful text. So maybe you're able to tell if Paul Henriot, his package was shipped via air. Karen Joseph's, his package was shipped by road. Okay, like that. So that's how we use case statements. Okay, so if the when statement evaluates to true, okay, then this result is returned. Okay, evaluate the statement, excuse me, then assign this result. Okay, so that's how we use the case. All right, so next we look at the null operators. We have 2 of them. We have is null, okay, and we have this name we are COALESCE or COALESCE. I don't know, I'm not sure how to pronounce this. So COALESCE. Okay, so we have these 2 functions for null operators. What we're going to do is do another select statement. So we can do maybe products. Okay, let's do products. So suppose we want to get the total cost of stock. Okay, maybe we could do something like arithmetic, for example, select, I can say unit, no, okay, let's say product name, and let's say something like total cost. So this total cost will be an alias, so we'll do an arithmetic here. We can say unit price multiplied by units in stock. plus, we give it an alias of maybe total cost of stock. Okay, so if we execute this one first of all, okay, sorry, we didn't put so we get the total cost as that. So in cases where okay, here we don't have any stock that is null, but in cases where we have null values, then that's where it would make sense for us to use the is null. For instance, if unit stock is null, let's say for instance somebody didn't let's do it as an example, update products. So you can say your category ID is equals to, so let's do an update statement practically. Update product, set units in stock. Is equals to null, where you can say category ID category ID is equals to 2. So let's update this one. Update products. So let's select again. So as you can see, there are values that are null right now. So what we'll do now, let's go and try to run our query again. So if we run this one now, we find there are values that are null here. So what we do want now is to return 0 instead of null. So that's where now the null operators come in. So if null, okay, use the IFNULL function. Okay, if null, then you put units, then comma. So if null, what do we put? Put 0, right? So if you put 0, then you multiply by the unit price, it will return a 0 instead of returning null. So let's go ahead and execute this and see the output. Right, so you see even the null values, the values that were null are now returning 0. So that's how we use the IFNULL function. So again, instead of this one, we can decide to use the now COALESCE. The COALESCE function. Okay. Okay, sorry. So it returns the same. So they work similar to the IFNULL function. Okay. So this one avoids returning the null values. especially when you are doing arithmetic operations. Instead of returning null values, it returns 0. So that's how we use the null operators. Alright, so let's finally look at operators in MySQL. Right, so we'll start with arithmetic operators. Arithmetic operators are the basic mathematics operators that we know. So we have the plus, we have the minus, we have the multiplication, we have the division, then we have the modulus. Okay, so these are the main 5 arithmetic operators in MySQL. So for instance, if you want to do an arithmetic, okay, let's go to orders. You can still use a products table. Okay, so if you want to say select unit price, then comma, you can say unit price divided by 2, right? Let me give it an alias as divide, and just call it divide. Okay, so if we execute this one, we get 2 columns. The first one is unit price, the second one gives you the unit price divided by 2. Okay, so if you can change this one now and put multiplication, execute, it multiplies the unit price by 2. We put minus 22, right? Say minus 10. Okay, so maybe change this to minus. Okay, so that minus 10, 8, 18 minus 10. Okay, so you can use something like okay, plus, so that is plus, and then finally the modulus. So 18, gotta try modulus 2. Okay, modulus means after you divide, what value remains. For instance, if you divide 18 by 2, you get 10 without a remainder. If you divide 19 by 2, you get 9, get 9 remainder 1. So the remainder is 1 is what modulus returns. You can put this one modulus. Okay, so the remainder is what modulus usually returns, and this is the function we usually use to check which a value, if the value is an even number. Okay, so if it returns 0 and you are dividing by 2, then it means it's an even number. If it returns any other value, that means it's an odd number. Okay, and as you can see, 21, 25, that is an even number, returns 0, 40 is an even number, 97 is an odd, 31 is an odd number. Okay, so that's how we determine even and odd numbers. Right. So next, we look at the comparison operators. So for instance, if you want to compare the unit price, select unit price from products. You can also select a product name, right? So when you are doing our where clause, you can say where the units in stock. You can use that one. I start with equals is equals to 0. Can I just select everything so that we are able to see? Okay. Comma units in stock. So you only get the products where units in stock is 0. Okay, so we say it's greater. So this is a greater sign, greater than 10. So okay, all products where units in stock is greater than 10, as you can see. And also can use less than 10. Execute. So as you can see, all products where units in stock is less than 10. Okay, you can also use greater or equal. So that one should return products where units in stock is greater or equal to 10. Okay, so most of them are greater. Do we have 10? Okay, let's say 20 so that we're able to see that well. Right, so it returns where units in stock are greater or equal, so we have 20 here. Right, so you can also have less or equal to 20. Okay, yeah, so that returns all. See, 20 is still part of it because of the equal sign. If you remove the equal sign, you'll not have 20 among the result set. Okay, so that's how the comparison. Okay, we have still one remaining. We have the not, which usually not equal to. So we say we are not equal to. So anything that is not equal to 20 will be returned. So those are the comparison operators. So you can use comment there. So those are the comparison operators. So next we look at the logic operators. Since we started this tutorial series, we've used several logic operators like all. We have used things like and, or, between, exists. Okay. begin, used also like. Okay, you have also used things like not. Okay, so all these are logic operators, right? Okay guys, this marks the end of this video and this part 3 series of the MySQL beginners series. If you are new to this channel again and you like this kind of content, please make sure you subscribe, leave a comment below, and give a thumbs up for this video. Make sure you share in your platforms and communities so that we grow together and continue learning more and more stuff in MySQL and even other databases like Oracle and MySQL Server and SQL Server. So let's meet in the next video.